They demolished my family's century-old cabin without a second thought, thinking they could steamroll some quiet surveyor who stumbled into their elite mountain enclave. I'm devastated, staring at the rubble that was the last remnant of my grandfather's legacy. But deep down I'm grinning because they've just ignited a fuse they've no idea exists. See, Victor Langston and his cronies on the development board don't realize what my actual expertise is or why I deliberately planted myself here 4 years back. They're on the verge of discovering why you never cross someone who's been mapping your downfall with geological precision. Drop a comment below telling me where you're tuning in from. This tale of retribution is one you won't see rolling in. Let me rewind and lay out how this avalanche started brewing. 4 years ago, I snagged what locals dubbed the budget plot in Ridgeview Heights, a sprawling $850,000 slice of land that pales next to the $4 to $6 million estates dotting the slopes. Picture it. 14 sprawling chalets perched on precarious mountain ledges, each one a fortress of glass and timber straight out of an architect's wet dream. And then there's my unassuming cabin, sticking out like a weathered boot among polished loafers. The seller muttered warnings about the Ridgeview Development Board, their version of an HOA on steroids, during closing. I just nodded, assuring him I'd navigate pushy elites. Little did he know I'd been poring over seismic reports, soil surveys, and land deeds for half a decade, zeroing in on this spot like a hawk eyeing prey. The cabin wasn't just wood and nails. It was my grandfather's handiwork, hammered together over endless summers after he retired from the mines. He etched our family crest into the mantle, a simple pickaxe crossed with a compass, vowing it'd stand as a beacon for generations. We'd never get to pass it down because Victor's predecessor orchestrated the same land grab scheme that bankrupted my family 2 decades prior, pushing Grandpa into a downward spiral that ended with him swallowing a barrel in our old shed. But I'm jumping the gun here. Barely a month after settling in, a glossy envelope arrived from the board, citing structural incompatibility with their vision for the ridge. Victor Langston, the board chair and a slick real estate tycoon who dodged more lawsuits than a cat has lives, demanded an urgent assembly to discuss my eyesore. The letter dripped with corporate jargon, but the subtext screamed, dismantle it or cough up $7,000 daily penalties. I'd anticipated this dance. I'd tracked Victor's playbook for years: start with minor infractions, escalate to coercion, then swoop in for a fire sale buyout. The board meeting unfolded in their opulent lodge, feeling like a tribunal where guilt was preordained. 13 board members, titans of industry with vacation homes worldwide, formed a judgmental arc, their gazes drilling into me like I was vermin. Victor presided at the head, projector beaming images of my cabin's offensive rustic charm. He donned a tailored blazer worth my monthly salary, flashing a shark's smile that set my teeth on edge. "Mr. Hale," he drawled in that boardroom baritone, "we all appreciate heritage, but Ridgeview's standards preserve our collective investments. Your structure, sentimental as it may be, undermines the aesthetic integrity." Alena Voss, the venture capitalist with the priciest chalet on the peak, leaned in with a sneer fit for scraping gum off her heel. "Ethan, let's cut the fluff. Your lot's prime for expansion, valued at $2.5 million easy. We're offering $1.1 million. That's a tidy flip from your $850,000 purchase." The room hushed, all eyes pinning me, awaiting capitulation. They had zero clue. They faced a man who'd dedicated his prime years to this showdown. I played the overwhelmed everyman flawlessly, voice quivering just enough. "This is overwhelming. The cabin's all I have left of Grandpa, but I get the community angle. Mind if I mull it over? Consult a lawyer maybe." Victor's grin widened, scenting victory. "Take your time, Ethan, but fines kick in after 72 hours if it's not addressed." What he missed was that window was my launchpad. As the group dispersed, I offhandedly mentioned my gig as a county surveyor, mapping terrain and stability. Nothing glamorous, just ensuring hills don't slide. I chuckled modestly. A few polite nods, but their disinterest was palpable. To them, I was a dirt under nails type invading their rarefied air. Had they probed, they'd question how a mere surveyor afforded the plot, or why I radiated calm amid their siege. That evening, I lingered by the cabin's hearth for what I knew was its final glow. The crest on the mantel gleamed under lamplight, Grandpa's steady hand evident in every line. I traced it, whispering a vow. "Grandpa, if you're up there, watch this. They broke us once, but this round, we break them." Victor beamed smugly. "Wise move, Ethan. Some folks just don't fit upscale vibes." As he sauntered off in his luxury SUV, his phone pinged with an alert from his investigator. "Hell, dossier done. Urgent review. He's not what he seems. 3 ridges over." I unrolled topographic maps in my shed, ones I'd dissected for 4 years. What had Victor's sleuth unearthed about my true self? Next dawn, Victor's facade began fracturing, oblivious to the cracks. His PI's file lay on his marble counter like a primed grenade as he nursed artisanal espresso, scheming my ouster. In my shed, I scrutinized fault lines that'd chill his veins if he grasped their import. While Victor toyed with permits and payoffs, I geared to demonstrate the peril of tangling with terrain's master. Specifically, how Earth shifts. Marcus Klein rapped on my door mid-morning, clutching a binder that'll alter the game. Marcus was the land agent who'd brokered my buy and nursed his own grudge against Victor. That snake shafted me on an $80,000 deal last season, he grumbled, sinking into my chair. Nixed a buyer over incompatible ethos, code for the guy being a Latino entrepreneur, if you catch the drift. Marcus had funneled intel my way for months, and today delivered gold. Victor's fiscal skeleton. Buckle up, he said, fanning documents. Victor's leveraged $15 million for ridge expansions. This isn't vanity, it's do or die. Missed the deadline in 45 days, and he's bankrupt, facing embezzlement raps. I pored over the figures, savoring the chill thrill of exposed frailty. Victor, it wasn't merely avaricious, he was cornered, prime for blunders. But Victor's pie, revelation fueling his frenzy. I'm no lucky surveyor scraping by. Stanford alum in geotechnical engineering. Stint with USGS on quake zones. Now senior stability assessor for Summit County, granting me override on any land mods for hazard mitigation. More crucially, emergency powers to alter terrain flows if threats loom. Victor, single quote, says Gumshoe pegged me as riskier than a random landowner, yet missed my motives depth. I'd invested 3 years dissecting Victor's racket pre-purchase, catalogued every displaced family, every coerced sale via regulatory bullying, every shattered dream for his gain. Grandpa was one link in a 20-year chain of legalized plunder masked as progress, but is hit hardest, culminating in that shed tragedy. It turned personal in ways Victor couldn't fathom. He'd crushed Grandpa's soul alongside his savings. Now, I'd crumple all he'd erected on such ruins. That afternoon, I patrolled the ridge, inspecting, eyeing each chalet like a strategist scouting weak points. Here's a nugget most overlook about high-altitude luxury. It's perched on volatile strata. Ridgeview teeters on shale layers that had to slump into valleys, sands, constant stabilization, drainage, anchors, the works. Those opulent pads rely on a web of retaining walls and pumps. And who holds the blueprints to tweak them? The man they warred on. The one whose kin they doomed. The one plotting their tumble for 4 years. With flawless alibi brewing, a seismic swarm was rumbling from the Pacific Fault, forecasted to tremor our way in 12 days. When it quaked, I'd wield legit authority for mitigation. All moves would masquerade as valiant hazard response, not vendetta. I raised the cabin that dusk, laboring solo under gathering clouds, as Victor observed from his panoramic deck with glee. Each plank pride felt like ripping my lineage, but I steeled, recalling this as mere prelude. I salvaged every splinter, mantle included, stowing for rebirth. But scores first. Victor's onslaught surged post-haste, daily citations, frivolous suits, bids to oust me from county employ via concerned letters on my competence. He rallied residents against me, whispering of plummeting values, weaponizing the enclave. Unbeknownst, each jab fortified my rationale for the impending quake. Elena Voss darkened my county doorstep for days on veiled threats in tow. Clad in a $6,000 ensemble, she murmured in that elite hush meant to intimidate. Ethan, it'd pain me if this spat derailed your path. Public roles are fragile, especially with whispers of instability or poor judgment. I smiled, expressing gratitude for her care. Internally, I gauged how far her chalet would slide when anchors failed. Marcus's network yielded timelines and panic gauges. Victor had pawned his assets, home yacht, even spouse's inheritance for the expansion gamble. Partners hounded him, hinting enforcers if my plot slipped. Victor cornered himself, and such beasts are ripe for the kill. Marcus handed a drive. Victor's ledgers, he's insolvent. Numbers confirmed, $15 million whole. Expansion his lifeline. Ideal-eyed seismic feeds, swarm inbound, but a ledger detail iced my veins. Why Victor's surety on my exit in precisely 45 days? What ace hit he? And that B details audience, chime in below. Where's your view from Victor's assurance stemmed from cunning, I undervalued. As ex-tycoon, he waged multi-pronged assaults to erode me fiscally and mentally. But each thrust let me calibrate my setup first. Probe hit during a minor tremor. A week post-demolition, I nudged drainage subtly enough for Victor's foundation to shift 4 inches, cracking his pool deck. Mere seismic settling from afar, but panic-inducing. I rolled up in county rig promptly. The dutiful responder, Sir, minor slip due to aftershocks. These old anchors strain under vibes are reinforced to avert recurrence. Victor eyed me warily but lacked proof. To outsiders, I was the hero braving quakes for a mogul's pad. Yet Victor smelled foul, summoning geotechs to scour his grounds. For sabotage, they crawled ducts, tested soils for days, finding zilch normal where I'd exploit in big shakes. Their verdict, natural settling, advised costly retrofits spanning months. Bingo. Victor hemorrhaged funds he couldn't spare on phantoms, depleting war chests for my assault. Meanwhile, I phased mods to the ridge's stability net over the pre-swarm week. Routine tweaks snowballing to chain failures in crisis. Elena grew edgy, and edgy elites. She pressed Victor to ditch subtlety for brute force. Clocks ticking. I overheard and Lodge Lot spat. Partner's query, and he ain't cracking. Time for inventive leverage, Victor countered, fearing legal blowback, but his fray was evident. Marcus proved pivotal, relaying Victor's moves, including mails to partners exposing desperation. Ethan, see this, he urged, flashing threads. Victor pledged your lot in 2 weeks flat. He's overcommitted, and they're poised to yank if no delivery. Mind games intensified, board petitions for my ban. Anonymous vandalism, tires slashed, power flickers, citations galore, death by pinpricks to shatter resolve. But each recalled Grandpa's torment, same harassment. Barrage evenings. I sipped whiskey on my porch stub, tracking quake alerts as Victor's chalet twinkled mockingly. Irony, he deemed cash and counsel supreme arms. But geology ignores fortunes or firms. Victor's fatal slip. Impatience. Bypassing erosion, he greenlit personal menaces. Alina appeared at my door, twilight, shadowed attire cloaking intent. Ethan, through screen. Easy or hard, you're out. Victor's web's vast weave vanished obstacles before guarding ventures that crossed to felony turf life, threat voiding all restraint. I triggered protocols that eve, alerting brass to quake risks. In Ridgeview, seeking nod for preventive terraforming. All onward, official hazard aversion, not crime. Victor's ultimate blunder, underestimating my dossier on his syndicate. While he hammered legals and loot, I'd archived all frauds, harassments, even Elena's visit. Marcus taped calls, amassed proof months. Postfall, Victor wouldn't merely forfeit pads and piles, he'd rot federally. Victor barged the crisis board huddle. That maniac shifted my base. Alina scanned my file. Stanford, GeoWiz, County Quake veto. Victor paled. Not battling a Randoweer versus soils, sovereign. Beyond, I monitored quake paths. Swarm 72 hours out. But Victor ignored my fresh call. One shifting tides wholly. Who rang Ethan? Why ate his Victor take? The ring came from unforeseen. Victor's estranged sister. Lydia, wed to his schemes for decades. Her conscience snapped pre his drag to abyss. Ethan. Her voice trembled at 3 a.m. I know Victor's tormenting you, mirroring what he did your grandpa years back. Can't abide it. I've dirt to bury him, but swear you'll shield me from fallout. Lydia's trove was dynamite. Ledgers, partner tapes, 25-year scam proofs. She'd hoarded as safeguard, conscience flickering. Server in his steady. Only we know. Ethan, your grandpa wasn't pioneer victim, just the one who snapped instead of fading. And the swarm confirmed. Peak in 72 hours. Puzzle snapping with lethal accuracy. I'd prepped mods to anchors ridgewide. Logged as upkeep and prep. Braskery. Overrides for safety tweaks. Every step legit response, not sabotage. Victor's panic peaked. He'd hawked Alistate fleet kin funds for gamble. Partner's ultimatum, lot in 96 hours or expose frauds federally. Cornered beasts, predictable yet perilous. Alina vibrated fury, judgment clouding. She floated final fixes for Ethan issue. Risking capital charges if nabbed. I half-hoped stupidity. It'd legit self-defense and ethic my quake. Marcus's web swelled to county vets wary of Victor's antics. Ethan jawdropper. He shared Lydia's latest. Victor's scam span for state aliases, official payoffs, not corrupt, empire-wrecking scores of clans over decades. Tech prep neared end. I'd rigged backups as hazard gear, ridge-wide multi-controls for shifts in quake, redundancies, elegance. Spot one tweak. For lurk. Geology favors none by status or suits. Gravity levels all. Victor launched desperate salvo 48 hours pre-swarm rush hearing deeming me threat. Eviction sought. Evidence. Dubious slips. Neighbor smears on my erratic post-cabin demeanor. Counsel framed me as grudge-holding tech with peril. Know-how versus success. Momentarily. Courtroom. I pondered her win, but Victor's savvy backfired. Case on hunch. Not hard. Mr. Langston. Judge post-review. Hales mandated for quake prep. Your claims tied to disputes, not deeds. Slips seem quake norms. Mental jabs. Speculative. Petition denied. Exiting court. Final cog locked. Victor exhorted legals. Lost pushing wilder in remaining window. I held judicial stamp on powers. Victor's args, admitting my skills. Harm me now. Prime suspect. Quake avert success. Hero. Win-win. Quake bulletins worsened hourly. 6 to 8 magnitude pulses. Epicenter. Nearing midnight 4 a.m. Ideal for slope slips. While elites slumbered, us GS evacuation alerts for unstable zones meant damages chalked to freak nature, not hands. Lydia's last ring pre-hit. Ethan. Victor suspects my leak file's gone. Grilled me. I'm bolting with docs, but beware. He's posted guards on your lot for Quake Watch. Hold you a snag-proof post. Terror for most, grin for me. Victor'd learn watching does not equal comprehending. Elena's final bluff. At my pad loading gear. Ethan. No. We're eyes on cams, guards, attorneys, ready odd to our lots. Proof you're in. I gazed at her in premium rainwear, blind to forces I'd unleash. Feeling near pity, elites, bubble so. Ignoring nature harnessed. Judge nixed Victor's order. Hales Quake authority stands. Victor raged out, dialing Alina. Legal flop into him. For good I caught via scanner. Smirking. Come on, Victor. Quake 24 hours. Your chalets to chasms. But gear check unearthed a shaker. Victor's last play, lethal enough to implode my labors. What unearthed Victor on Ethan's scheme? The swarm struck Ridgeview at 9 p.m. sharp. I was primed, not just set, but for years engineered like ops. Victor's guards ringed my lot with nightwies and cams, aiming to catch sabotage blatant. What they'd log, flawless legal demolition of 13 chalets in U.S. annals, framed as heroic quake thwart, not crime. Victor found Grandpa's farewell scroll, stashed in Lydia's hall unknowingly. Victor snagged duplicate rating safe for anti-me ammo. Note evoked Cabin Ridge, hope for payback on family wreckers. Victor figured premit proof if slips hit, but aired. Note bolstered my sentiment tale. Ridgebond. At 11 p.m., I initiated mitigation protocols and county logs. Phase 1, reroute drainages from upstream via temp channels from prior upkeep to watchers. Devoted official braving shakes for infraguard. Truth, overloading anchors, keeping 13 chalets from gravity's pull. By 1 a.m., slopes shifted 5 feet. Within quake norms but tripping chain responses and stability nets. My geo mastery key knew exact loads before cascades. Each fail mimicked prior pattern of mech breakdowns. No probe could tag. Victor roused at 3 a.m. to Timber's groaning, cams catching him in silk robe, gaping as foundation sank. He rang Elena frantic on floodsweight. Slipsand help please. But Elena dealt own chalet, tilting garage cars tumbling downslope. Their terror. Vocals as scope dawned, priceless. Execution impeccable. Each anchor snap activated backups, but I'd modded backups months and calls. Backups fail under load. Tertiaries engage reprogrammed to accelerate slips, not halt. Monitors showed norm. Protocols. Outcome. Billions in tons channeling into 13 luxury bases. Marcus alibied me that night. Coordinating response but docking for shield. Ethan, as we eyed Victor's chalet crumble. Seen disasters but this ridge reclaiming itself. Spot on. Precisely. Should have happened pre-build on faulted shale. Elena aired Eversing valuables mid-slip cammed wading mud clutching jewels as pad dissolved. Meme gold VC and couture trunks hugging vase amid ruin. Crucial. Proved I absent her sight during doom. By 5 a.m. Carnage done. All chalets bar mine underwater. In Mudfort. $7M each. $65 million total turned pricey debris. My plot on stable knob stood pristine, calculated in by optics. Modest surveyors hold out amid elite wipeout. Victor's meltdown peaked 6 a.m. Footage of him roof perched in robe, murmuring he orchestrated ... all ... correct but proofless. Guards tapes, me in response. As pads failed naturally. At 7 a.m., I arrived county rigged for assess rescue. Act, Emmy caliber, dismay at scale, swift resource mob, crisis poise. News crews grilled me as selfless servants saving foes, despite spats. Tragic, 2 lenses, waving at Victor's muck. Fine folks, fine builds, hard trending nature's toll. Insurers. It swarmed hours later, no red flags. Equip showed quake where fails had mech causes. Mods logged upkeep prep. Slip patterns, matched models sans my underground tweaks know-how. No motive for wide-hit feud. Victor only, not 12 others. Victor's realm imploded swifter than slid. Partners yanked. Sparked probes into finances discovering personal siphons. Sued for millions. Elena jetted to Cayman, ditching Victor to Fallout. Assets liquidated pre-seed. Fed probe on land racket launched same day. Built on prior victims' tips. Victor huddled in relief tent. Muddied finery. Smeared news lauded Ethan hero. Geo tamed worse slips. Victor TV glared epiphany. He blueprinted every damn bit. Elena neared with bag. Bolting suggests you before FBI digs books. Alone. Victor's phone buzzed unknown. Message froze him. What words? Who held Victor's blackest secret? Text from Grandpa Earth settles scores. Not literal dead 20 years. I'd timed send on slip sensors, hitting total ruin. Victor stared. Grasping. Family torment lingered till son matured for geo payback. In 48 hours. Victor's hell clarified. FBI eyed racket months, needing court proof. Marcus Lydius tapes, docs supplied avalanche, ledgers, partner chats, harass proofs, official bribes. Flood claim morphed Federico slam, life-term potential Cayman dash lasted week pre-Interpol nab on us warrant. Accounts iced pending return. Ex-partners ratted for leniency, showing elite loyalty profit-tied. Feds ignore wealth on solid conspiracy. My bump to county geo chief, $50,000 hike. Kudos for quake heroics. Boss unaware he rewarded crisis creator. But I did avert broader valley slips via managed ridge flow. Sans me, town core buried weeks, not just deserved chalets. Inshore probe, misdirect masterclass tech explains. Fails mech. Patterns, natural. Actions, apt response. Weeks hunting, sabotage, fraud, fruitless. Geology truths hold. I wielded to topple sans legal scar. Payers shelled $65 million, claims undisputed. Marcus's agency boomed post-slip, Opportunity-born Ridge. Values tanked 70%, letting workers afford peaks once elite locked. Ethan, showing plot to nurse cop duo, moved more lots month than prior 3 years. These clans earn ridge life like those snobs. Victor's fiscal ruin swift. Savage. Probe froze. Assets Inc. Insure cash pending wraps. Spouse divorced. Asset split claiming ignorance half-true. Lydia plotted exit years. Victor solo, penniless. Facing felonies with overworked defender. Ridge reborn surpassed dreams. New owners, educators, responders, trades priced out before. From wealthy chill to warm bonds. Kids romped, age swapped. July BBQ's genuine, not show. Media made me accidental icon. Humble guardian braving quakes for ungrateful rich. Congress summoned for infra talks. Publishers bid on Quake service tale. Docs chronicled Ridgeview wonder dedicated thwart of total loss. Victor's trial prep unveiled empire scope 25-year scams for states. Millions pilfered from workers. Payoffs, harassed till breaks like grandpa. Pros had 40-plus victim statements. Ledger's fraud-proof tapes. Plotting removals. Overwhelmed so defender. Pushed plea. But Victor's hubris endured amid ashes. Won't let dirt digger ruin me. To counsel nixing 15-year deals. Believed jury swayed to her as victim of frame by vengeful blue-collar dot. She missed truth damned more than setup. Pros sought justice, not spite. For Victor, no more family wrecks. Charges RICO, fraud, conspire, launder, rights violations under law color. Each heavy time. Evidence ironclad. Defender eyed files, overpowering plea. Victor in jumpsuit, no blue collar, nobody's my end. Counsel side, buddy, he already is life looms. Outside Ethan groundbreaking grandpa's memorial overlook. Community rallied, but speech mid. Spotted shadow face. One impossible one signaling Victor's dying strike who lurked. What Victor's final lethal ploy? Revenge nears close, but tales hold one shock twist. Comment your watch spot. Shadow face. Grandpa's old partner Harlan unseen since funeral. 20 years Harlan, ex-USGS vet, retired post-quake probes. Presence at overlook meant Victor lured him thinking me peril to halt. But Victor aired Harlan probed Victor's racket. Since grandpa's end. Appearance not stop but seal. What we dual pursued 20 years. Ethan Harlan post ceremony built fed case on Langston since he doomed your grandpa. Unaware your role till quake news. Then pieced your spot. Geoskill slip precision realized your feet. Grandpa beam. You halted in one quake what legals. Couldn't 20 years Victor's sentence judicial storm. Judge Harlan read-eyed proofs, testimonies, tapes, family destroying for gain. Mr. Langston down at Orangeclad. Preyed on strugglers 2 decades. Manipulating regs finances to thieve homes, shatter lives. Actions spurred at least for ends Inc. Ethan Hale Sr., zero remorse shown. Sentence stream, 22 years Fed Sands. Parole, $3 million victim restitution. Victor 72 on out. If lasting, judge cited no remorse, refusal plea as severity factor. Victimized vulnerable for greed, cloaked in development. Elena's NAB extradite took 8 months. Came in coop with us, her trial apart but crushing. 14 years conspire fraud, full asset forfeit offshore. Exosoaks testified versus her forecuts. Loyalty profit bound. My buy of Victor's ex-chalet at auction. For $600,000 symbolic triumph. Evil symbol turned family haven. Honoring grandpa. Marcus and I wed 7 months postquake. Expecting daughter naming Ilara after grandpa's compass star. Rebuilt overlook Ridge Heart. Neighbors pitched in plaque for greed, corruptions, victims. Wider, sturdier for communal views. Annual Geofair funds anti-land-abuse. Congress testimony spurred Fed law, Halig Act, curbing dev boards for sales, mandating fiscal openness, my saga law school staple, how emergency powers justice when systems fail. Families versus abuse. Changes rippled, Victor's old scam victims sued via trial proofs, recouping millions, dissolving hides. FBI probe grew to 5 states, 70-plus lots, more prosecutions of bribed officials. Marcus's biz ethic model. 8 affordable homes over max profit. Ethan Eve as neighbor kids overlooked, happier earning less. These clans deserve views like rich. Did, worth our trials. Satisfaction transcended revenge. 20 years plotting Victor's fall, but outcome bigger. True community sans predatory fears. Values steadied work affordable, diverse in means, jobs backdrops, elite silo to neighbor knowing 8 spot. Victor's jail missives first years, no blame. Own, still conspiracy victim. Ruined innocent via spite. One eye forwarded Harlan. Truth outs. You'll be seen criminal. Truth evident. Victor empire on worker ruin. Downed by victim grown savvier. Justice shifted like plates. Seeping cracks. Eroding misery built. Folks query if slipping chalets worth 20 years plan. Every tremor. Victor thought destroy workers profitably. Wrong. Elena believed money. Law also of prison schooled other. Grandpa taught good neighbors aid, bad get do. Today, Victor rots fed. Elena forgotten broke. Grandpa's overlooked firma. Built by United, not lone mourner. Hellboard, to Dreamridge. Justice creeps tectonic, but arrives quake devastating corruption. Away. That's engineering perfect payback, peeps. If this cold-served justice pumped you, smash like. Tales thrive on underdog triumphs versus odds. More wild revenges inbound, dwarfing this. Thanks watching. Next dive to sweet justice tale. Till then, recall, never undervalue one grasping your system's true mechanics.